Hi everybody, welcome to Kimnall Bay Church's vlog again today. We're continuing to look at the book we've been using, which is Roadmap to Jesus, and today I'm going to be talking about the cross. So I'll just read the thought from the book and then just add my own thought on the end. Numbers 21 verse 8 says, "The Lord said to Moses, make a snake and put it up on a pole. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live." Imagine a courtroom where instead of real evidence, lies are being told. Imagine a judge who doesn't care whether the accused is innocent or guilty. He just wants him punished. That is so unjust and unfair, but that's the trial that Jesus endured. After a night of botched legal proceedings with religious leaders bent on killing Jesus, a large wooden beam was placed on Jesus' back to carry to the place where he would be crucified. But the cross is not merely an act of injustice, it is also, and more importantly, a battleground where good won the victory over evil. The crucifixion of Jesus is simultaneously the most tragic and most marvellous event in human history. Tragic because those who shouted for him to be crucified were the same people who only days before had been awed by his miracles. They'd listened to his teaching and welcomed him into Jerusalem with shouts of praise. But the cross is also marvellous because the whole of the Old Testament had been pointing to this event. It is the moment when Jesus, God in the flesh, would die in the place of sinful humanity, so that sinners might live. The crucifixion was no accident that happened to a good man. Jesus willingly went to the cross knowing that this was all part of God's plan. The cross was the place where forgiveness was made possible for the people of the world. But this scene with Jesus viciously nailed to an instrument of torture on display for all to see should have made those present remember an event from their own history. In Numbers 21, the people of Israel had already been saved from slavery in Egypt. They were delivered miraculously by God, so there was no doubting that God was on their side, but their confidence didn't last long. Fast forward just a short while and the people had forgotten God's faithfulness and became impatient. They grumbled against God, and so the Lord sent venomous snakes into their camp, and many people died as a result of their disobedience and rebellion against him. But God was gracious, and he told Moses to make a bronze serpent, attach it to a long pole, and lift it high in the air. And all those who looked at the snake, trusting in God's promise, would be saved and live, but those who did not would die. And this is an important story to remember because we're all infected with the deadliest of poisons, sin. It's a venom that courses through our veins and that results in death both physically and spiritually. It's the fatal disease that affects every human being. The sin of the world has caused a rift, a breakdown in the relationship between humanity and God. But God has made a way for people to be saved by Jesus dying on the cross in our place. Like the snake was lifted up on the cross, Jesus too was lifted up so that all of those who look to him and trust him are saved from their sin and judgment. The cross was the place where the Son of God died so that sinful people could live. That's why Christians spend so much time and dedicate entire books to talking about the cross. That's why so many Christians wear crosses around their necks. That's why the cross is always part of the good news about Jesus that we share with people. The cross is fundamental to understanding what it means to be a Christian because it was there that Jesus, the innocent one, died in the place of the guilty. As Jesus hung on the cross, his final words, "It is finished," are the most life-giving of all. 3 simple words that convey a never-ending promise for all those who trust in Jesus. Their punishment before God has been taken. Jesus bore the sin and the shame of the world and traded it for his righteousness, his right standing with God. Jesus made the void, the barrier between a holy God and an unholy people, disappear. Those final and definitive words of Jesus are just the beginning of new life as a Christian. The separation that was necessary is now no more. The only solution to the problem of sin is Jesus. If we had the cure to a disease that afflicts everyone in the world, we would run out and tell everyone about it. And that is why Christians talk so much about Jesus. Everyone in the world needs to know about him. Snakes are something that I have a phobia of. I can't stand them and even have to look away from the TV if they come up on the TV. So I would have been a nightmare in the Israelite camp with venomous snakes all around. The story in Numbers is the Israelites, they grumbled yet again against God, and as a punishment, venomous snakes have been sent amongst the camp. And Moses pleads to God on their behalf, and God tells Moses to make a bronze snake and raise it up, and then whoever is bitten by the snake can look to the bronze snake and they will be healed. Something that's always jumped out to me about the passage is that God didn't just remove the venomous snakes. He instead made a way for the Israelite people to be healed. If they got bitten, then they could look to the way that God had created for them to be healed and be healed. But the snakes remained in the camp, and that in turn would have increased the Israelite people's dependency on God as continually looking to God for their healing. And with our relationship with God, when we give our lives to Jesus, when we look to him for forgiveness, we're instantly forgiven. Sin is dealt with. It doesn't mean that we become perfect. We will still sin. But the promise is there that when we make these mistakes, our God will instantly forgive us because of Jesus' finished work for us on the cross. And the challenge for us today is, have you looked to Jesus? Have you looked to him for the forgiveness that only he can offer? If we have, what are we doing about it? Jesus has saved our lives. That sin that was in our life has been forgiven. Are we sharing that good news with others, letting them know that all they need to do is look to Jesus? Let's make sure that we're a people who are always looking to share this great news that we have. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.